welcome, whether you've arrived on purpose or by accident, been hijacked, or forced to come here. We hope that you're choosing here to come here by choice. You've reached Fishing Without Bait, a lifetime without definitive expectations, where we help people explode into their lives through full impact mindfulness. And we're looking for people who want to create their lives rather than find themselves. If you have the honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness to try, which are the only admission price here, welcome aboard. Jump in the canoe and start paddling and let the adventure begin. As always, I'm Jim Ellermeyer. I'm a behavioral health therapist. And today we're joined by our new friend.
I'm Ryan. I perform as Ryan Zane as a professional wrestler around here as a hobby. And then work a Joe job, and I like that just fine. I say Joe job. I love my gig.
You're a professional wrestler.
Professional, yeah. We can use that term loosely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm a hobbyist.
Well, you.
Thank you though. That's the nomenclature.
Yeah, you are a professional wrestler. You perform in front of crowds, do you not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, good. And you've developed a skill level to do that.
Yeah.
Because I've watched some of your matches.
Ah, shucks. Thank you. And yeah.
Well, I'm not. If I thought you were a bag of moldy cheese, I'd get around to telling you so. But I watched the matches, and it looked like you knew what you were doing in the ring. So how did you get into professional wrestling?
Like as a thing to enjoy, or as a thing to do actively in
How
life?
to get into it? There's people out there right now saying, "Well, how do I do that?"
I was constantly curious about it. I'll say, like, for my whole conscious life, just like, what is this thing? And wanting to do it because it looked bouncy and fun, and it was spectacular. But not until I was like 18, and some local indie wrestler had posted about an open ring in the area. It was about a half-hour drive from my house. So yeah, I did that and came back about a year later. I tried to do like community college, but it just didn't suit me. And then I just started working full-time and training and trying to work full-time or being in between jobs and keeping up with that. And I don't know, just chased it down. I identify it now as like what I wanted more than anything was like to run away with the circus.
I think a lot of us have had that idea.
Yeah. I like to think I fulfilled it.
Well, people have to deal with reality, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's occasionally wonderful to take some flights of fancy.
How do you mean?
Well, to sit and dream, and why I encourage people to dream. I encourage people to be creative. And you talked about being curious.
Mm-hmm.
That's a real talent and a gift that a lot of people have lost.
Shucks. Yeah. I still I'm 34 years old, and I guess like I'm still imaginative about things, and I hope that that's not all like just delusion and stuff. And I try to keep my imagination grounded in reality or focused in like my practice of what I get to do wrestling.
Well, what I encourage people to do, Ryan, is to keep their head in the clouds and their feet on the ground.
Oh, I've heard that before. Where have I heard that before?
We always want to explore possibilities and be open, because have the beginner's mind, like a 3 or 4-year-old child, where we can imagine that all futures are possible.
Yeah, that's the only way to like actually have new discovery in your life too. Is like thinking about being at the beginning. And yeah, I guess I never imagined that I know everything. I know very, very little. Then I think about like stuff I've done, and there are plenty of people who haven't left their hometown, which is crazy to me. And still, like, whatever I've done in my life, like, I could still do more. I haven't really left the country. I don't have a passport. Things like that. I don't know why I'm thinking about it specifically as travel, but...
Well, every day is once in a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody has 24 hours. So who were some of your heroes when you were growing up, Ryan, or heroes now?
I'm like trying to think of outside the realm of wrestling, but that's tough, ain't it?
Well, if it's wrestling, then it's wrestling.
It's definitely Mick Foley. It's his like commitment to the bit, as we like to call it, but really his commitment of his like body and his mind creatively to the process, and how like visceral he made his art. Is very grounding in humanity, and also in like psychology and sort of trying to like unravel madness as a character. But then like in his retirement, his like philanthropy and his like focus on soft things and connection to his family, those are all things like I admire and aspire to, even if like now I'm not a family man or like have what I perceive as the capability to give back much more than I possibly can. Like that's who I looked up to. Yeah,
Okay.
and there were a couple of people growing up along the way, like high school teachers, etc. But when I think about it, and who I obsessed over, if I think about a hero, that guy.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Mm.
Well, that's kind of ironic because when I was watching your matches, you had longer hair in these
Oh, yeah.
matches, and you had a longer beard,
Mhm.
and
I'm certainly mimicking him.
you were
You know?
actually you had facial expressions like him. That's exactly what I thought.
Shucks. Yeah, it's almost entirely mimicry too. Just and some of that comes from like within in my perception of how I should be emoting and reacting in any moment. But like a lot of that is like learned mimicry from like constant study. Um, Not that I don't really study a whole lot anymore. Like I've lost that edge and focus, and especially in the past couple of weeks, like I've started the year and just kind of taken a step back from doing much.
Okay.
There's one match a couple of weeks ago, and I like sprained my knee throwing a jab, which yikes, feels at like 13 years in, give or take a lot of time off in a light, what I'd call a pretty light schedule and career. Um, yeah, like doing that is like a little embarrassing and stuff, and it makes me feel old. Like I just turned 34, but then I like slapped a brace on it, went up to New York 2 days later, and like worked a super fulfilling gig.
You also have a persona that you put on in the ring also.
Aside from like me with
Yeah, you wear a
yeah,
mask and you
I can yeah, I don't mind unwrapping that. So yeah, I worked for a bit as Argus, that's like a gecko, and I got that character from working in a promotion in Philadelphia. Like they gave that to me because I had to source the mask and the gear and do all that and kind of invest in that. But yeah, I don't know. Ask me a question about being Argus.
well, what I wanted to relate it to is to real life
Okay,
and mental health. Many people go through their lives, Ryan, wearing a mask,
gotcha.
and they have different personas they present in different
Different people.
situations. Yes.
Yeah. I've certainly seen that with like people I encounter in life. God, it's like almost always painful. It's almost always painful when like you see the other side of someone after however many years or days or weeks. But like, oh, anyway, sorry.
Well, those are people that haven't gotten acquainted with what we would call their authentic self.
Right.
Okay.
I concur.
They're still trying to create this type of persona that they think other people will relate to.
Or need or want or appreciate more than themselves, which is like, I'm trying to tailor my language. And also, this sounds really judgmental, which is it's just kind of messed up. It's messed up to have to worry about like who you are internally and how you'll be perceived outwardly, and then like mask. I feel like that's where a lot of like people get dodgy with their behavior too, because there's so many like fronts they're trying to juggle that like morality gets blurry. But anyway,
Well, most
please know
certainly
yourself.
does.
Yeah,
Well, the Buddhist
I probably do it a lot still too.
the Buddha says that what other people think of us is none of our business. Okay.
Yeah,
So if you develop stronger self concept, stronger self esteem, an identity formation,
mm,
you really don't care what other people think about you
yeah,
because you're not trying to impress anybody.
hmm,
And most people go through their lives comparing themselves to others.
yep.
If I only had this, if I only had that, if
Mm.
I could wrestle like Ryan, if I could,
I
if I,
hope not.
well, there's
I'm sorry. I'm
there's
sorry.
a lot of people out there that admire professional wrestling. I admire the skill level that is shown on these matches.
Thanks. You know, it's often perceived as like simpleton entertainment, and um, Sure, I understand that perception, but that's very nice to hear just from like anyone to say I appreciate the skill set involved and like how difficult it is, even on the low level. And I think like my perception of like where someone's level should be and like where I'm performing lately, they don't match up to where I'd like to be. And that's not that's just my own personal expectation, but also I'm having so much fun that I care less. But where was I going with this? Just thanks for like it's tough even when I'm like, I hate to say it, but like kind of phoning it in lately.
We often talk to people about expectations,
Mhm,
okay?
mhm,
And most people in life, when they're depressed or they have anxiety,
mm.
they're trying to live up to unrealistic expectations of themselves or what they believe others have on expectations of them.
Oh yeah, I had to get out. So like personally, I had to get out from under that with probably like my immediate family before I could like survive. And I really had to like force survival when I moved to Philly to go do lucha, which started really as like a lot of sleeping on friends' couches until I knew I'd outworn my welcome and like spending a little time in my car before moving in with some guys and like eventually hearing less and less about what I needed to do because I was doing everything that I needed to do to survive, and like it became so simple for me to just like shut out any perception of like I need to go back to school and finish and get a degree, or I need to and anything really move back to Virginia, which God just wouldn't have worked out for me. And I tried it once, and it didn't.
Well, sometimes I ask people, I say, where's that voice coming from?
I think for me personally, if I had to answer that question, a lot of it comes from home, and I've had to shed that to not hear it anymore. And that's been like crucially freeing to my life, to my soul, whatever that is, or my like emotional stability and
Mhm.
ability to start self-regulating and not looking like up to either my folks or my older brother who like um whatever, there's like ever levels of abuse in the family but who weren't great to me.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to harp on it too much, where we can get into it, whatever.
That's,
Depends on where your
you can
questions lead.
share with whatever you feel comfortable with.
But yeah,
But,
that's about it.
but we feel, people feel like we always ask, where did that behavior come from? We always have to ask people. We can treat symptoms, okay?
Hmm.
But unless we find out what's driving behavior, nothing will be accomplished.
Yeah, I think I worry a lot like these days, and what I'm focusing on in my practice is like any like sign of a temper, um, and that's still like when I least expect it, kind of like rears its head, where I'm so frustrated in a situation or with even with other people or my own expectations with them or myself. You know, I get frustrated, and God, I'd like to rest that like from my spirit, but I know it comes from uh kind of like conditioning of like conditioning to a violent household and hearing a lot of yelling and door slamming and shit like that, like then informs my immediate reaction to things when um how do I put it, when like the steam engine is full and hasn't
Yeah,
been let off, when the rocket ship is full of fuel but hasn't
yeah.
been ignited, etc., or I haven't like dumped fuel, as it were. Yeah.
Well, a lot of times we carry that pain of the past around with us into the present.
Yeah, and I do that, and I just like, God, I've worked on it for so long, just thinking about it and focusing on it, and I hope I haven't like obsessed over it.
Well,
But
I've talked about this tattoo to a lot of people, so of course.
okie
So
dokie. What
what?
does this say? Abracadabra?
Yeah,
Okie dokie.
when you think of abracadabra, Ryan, what comes to your mind?
Um, like silly, fantastical magic, like something really, really goofy. Honestly, like a guy in a top hat producing a bunny from that top
Yeah,
hat.
making something appear.
Yeah, yeah. So what do I like? Uh, Tell me more.
Well, it's actually a real word. It comes from the Bible's Jesus time.
Okie
It's
dokie.
Aramaic, and roughly what it translates
Wait,
into.
abracadabra is Aramaic.
That's correct.
Okay, cool, cool, cool,
What
cool.
I speak, I speak what I create. I create what I speak.
Okay.
Okay. 80% of cognitive behavioral therapy is about changing the language in the way you speak to yourself.
Mm.
I call it reversing the curse. Learning how to speak to yourself like you'd speak to a friend. The
Mhm.
cool kids today call it manifestation or vision boards,
Right.
but it's
Right.
that's just a different buzzword for today.
Yeah. Or like intention. Like, okay. Neato.
Yeah.
Neat.
So the more you learn how to reverse the curse and learn how to speak to yourself as a friend and counter that inner critic inside of you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Lately it's been that. And I think I've got to remind myself that like I'm a sweetie who likes to bake, honestly. And what I want is peace in my life. But yeah, yeah. I
well,
should remember to like say that more often.
you could choose to.
I could. Yeah.
You could choose to.
I should write it down when I get home.
Well, and one of the things that we always want to do is plant flowers and pull weeds. There's so many negative people in our lives that if they're what return of I often ask people, what return are you getting out of your investment in this relationship? And a
Right. With
lot
a
of time
consistent
it's minimal.
Yeah, with a consistently negative person too. Yes, I understand. I definitely understand that more recently too. Um, and like I don't know, not to excuse myself for like any guffawing and uh, like lashing out, but that like consistent negativity was something I was enduring, like a constant dark cloud that I didn't have over my head, and like I felt like that drove me to like my wits end, my worst, like my maddest, my madness. Ugh. And like I do have to continue to consciously protect my like relationship boundaries and who I spend this time with, and really listen to what they're telling me and saying, and consider that and how it affects me, because it brings out the worst in me. And then like once I'm the worst, once I'm the worst version of myself, oh God, I'm the worst. You know, do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm glad you didn't bring that person tonight.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I wouldn't. I don't usually, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's not a lot on my shoulders right now, except I've got a day job and it's a blessing, and I got a couple leg injuries right now, but
Okay.
like I have health insurance and a roof over my head, and I eat whatever I want.
Well, that
I
brings
should
me.
exercise more. My expectation right now is like I've got to start taking
Well,
care
you
of
could choose to.
I should. Not only could
Well,
I,
if we replace those shoulds and have tos and needs tos with I choose, I think you'll find that you'll feel a little better about yourself, buddy.
I'm gonna get on the bike tomorrow when I choose to.
I like the way you're talking now.
Yeah, yeah. But I've been thinking about it a lot and then not activating. I've been playing video games and chilling out and like enjoying the start of the new year and thrumming through like winter. And kind of like I'm hibernating, but I really shouldn't be. Like I should be stretching and regularly exercising and lifting again. But I'm just like relaxing through
Well,
it. I don't know if that's how I'm like getting through
maybe
the
it's that time
sads.
right now.
Yeah, like I may be just like rolling through seasonal affective and just like trying my best, and like that's my capacity right now, I guess.
Well, you know yourself better than anybody.
Yeah.
Mhm. So, generally, for
Then
seasonal affective disorder, we just generally prescribe sleep, exercise,
I'm sleeping.
nutrition,
I'm sleeping a
and
lot.
well, you have to have good sleep, and
Yeah.
then sociability, being in touch with other human beings, like-minded people
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
support you, that you look forward to seeing,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they
I've
look
been able
forward
to
to seeing
accomplish that.
you.
Yeah. I've been able to accomplish that this winter, which is nice. That's good. That's a
Well,
good reminder.
if you have people like that in your life, then you're a fortunate man indeed.
Mm-hmm.
And quite often, we don't spend enough time in gratitude. Gratitude, being grateful for the things that we have, like you just mentioned, having a roof over your head, having a job that you okay with, that you work, that you're a professional wrestler, that you have socks, that
That match and yeah,
you
matching gray sweats.
you have a beard that I couldn't grow if I lived multiple lifetimes. But
That's all luck. Yeah.
if it's impossible, Ryan, to have a mind of anxiety and a mind of gratitude at the same time. They cannot coexist. It's impossible. We'll be continuing our conversation with Ryan next week, a fascinating conversation delving into the depths of his soul, and a free prescription for you: fruits, nuts, and vegetables. Unplug that television and take up fishing. And for a truly mindful experience without expectations, fish without bait. Do a kindness for another and do a kindness for yourself. Forgive yourself and forgive another. Till all are free, none are free. If we're all not the divine's children, then none of us are. Be good to yourself today and every day. Namaste.
If you're interested in flying the colors of fishing without bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.